Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation on MyToxCert and updates to the medical toxicology continuing certification requirements. Now I would like to introduce Dr. Andrew Stahlbuck. Dr. Stahlbuck is certified in emergency medicine and medical toxicology and is the chair of the Medical Toxicology Subboard. Welcome, Dr. Stahlbuck.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I'm hoping everybody's having a good almost Thanksgiving. It's great to see so many familiar names out there, and glad to be able to share all the work that we've been doing on trying to make recertification a little bit better. Here's the roadmap, so to speak, for how we're going to do continuing certification moving forward. So as many of you have done my MCert, many of you emergency medicine boarded folks have already started that. MyToxCert is analogous to that, and we're going to transition to that in the coming year. We are going to switch. The basic idea is that instead of having activity fees and a big, every 10-year recertification fee, we're going to have annual fees and a 5-year recertification cycle or 5-year certification cycle. And we're going to talk about all that. And at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session where we'll have you guys submit questions in the chat. And any of the really big personal and specific things, we'll handle that separately offline if you have a very special case. And in addition, everybody's going to be getting information from ABEM about their own personal situation either way. So what you need if you're expiring soon, what you're personally going to need to do in order to recertify. So you're going to get that no matter what. So we're moving away from this high stakes exam at the testing center. So no more of the stressful research that you take every 10 years. And so that's going away. Instead, you're going to take modules at home, open book, but by yourself. So not collaboratively, but open book, similar to my MCert. And with MyToxCert, if you don't pass it, you'll have an option, to retake it in several months. So instead of having this 10-year certification where you pay this big lump sum at the end of 10 years and you're paying per activity, you're going to have a 5-year certification cycle, and you're just going to be paying annually for certification. You're just going to be paying an annual fee. And within that, once you get on the new cycle, within that fee, it'll just cover all the activities that you're going to want to choose, or that you're going to need to choose to stay certified. And when you crunch the numbers, it costs about the same. So it's going to be, the intent here isn't to raise the cost. Hopefully it'll be positive and that'll smooth the cost. I know for somebody like me, where I get CME and I get just a fixed amount a year, it makes it a little bit nicer for me to just pay something every year. So how are we going to transition? Because the transition, I think, is really the challenging part to wrap our heads around. And so we'll spend a lot of time talking about that. So starting in 2024, the MyToxCert modules are going to go online, and we'll talk about that rollout. This is going to replace the current recert exam and eventually replace the LLSAs. So those are going away. The current recert exam and the LLSAs are eventually going away. We're going to have topic-specific MyToxCert modules. They're going to be online. You take them at home by yourself, but they will be open book. The intent is not for time to be a factor, although they will be timed. I don't know if we have it in here, but you'll have plenty of time per item. The intent is not for time to be a factor. You get immediate feedback when you get it right or wrong. So the idea is this to be formative, not summative, in that you're going to hopefully learn something. So if it's something that is a little bit unfamiliar to you, you look it up, you learn something, and we explain it. So hopefully this will help us stay up to date. We're also going to have knowledge advancement items. About 10% of the items are knowledge advancement, which are really things that are based on articles that you're going to get, almost like an LLSA. And hopefully some of that stuff will be new to you, and you'll just be able to learn it in the article and apply it just right there in the test. And hopefully that'll help us keep the specialty moving forward. So starting in February 2024, we are rolling out 4 modules, 4 MyToxCert modules. Principles of toxicology, toxicants and toxins, clinical assessment, and therapeutics. And then in 2025, there's going to be 2 more: assessment and population health, and then analytical and forensic toxicology and workplace drug testing. And these are all well on their way to being developed, and we're just kind of polishing off the February 2024. And so these questions, all just like your initial MedTox certification, just like the going away research exam, come right from the core content of medical toxicology. So it all comes right from that. And what we've done is we've divided it up and split them up into these MyToxCert modules, and just kind of thematically really trying to focus on things that are more important to a practicing toxicologist. So things that are hopefully more important to our recertification folks. And so, as I said before, the first 4 principles of toxicology, toxicants and toxins, clinical assessment and therapeutics, are all coming online in February, this coming February 24. And then the following year, part 5 and part 6, assessment and population health, and then analytical and forensic toxicology and workplace drug testing are coming online. The knowledge advancement sections, environmental toxicology, addiction tox, and occupational tox will be mixed in, and those will be about 10%. So once we're all on the new cycle, the intent is that we're doing 4 MyToxCert modules every 5 years. Every 5 years, we're going to attest to completing one of these practice improvement activities. You're currently doing 2 every 10. So this is not a change either. This is now 1 every 5. You're going to attest to your ABEM, your licensure in accordance with the ABEM policy, and you're going to attest to the code of professionalism. And that is going to be your 5-year certification. You're going to pay for it annually. And that payment that you make every 10 years, the sum of your payments over 10 years should be about what you were paying as it was before. And we'll talk about what everybody's payment is going to look like. For most of us, not all of us, but most of us are EM, and many of us, most of us, continue to certify in both EM and MedTox. And so there'll be a little bit of a reduced burden there, because you can count one of your MyMCert modules towards one of your 4 MyToxCert modules every 5 years, every 5 years. You can use one of the MyMCerts in place of the MyToxCert module. There's only 2 that will count in this regard. So abnormal vital signs, and then shock or social and behavioral health. Those are the 2 MyMCert modules that can cross over. So for example, to get if you're EM and tox boarded and you're staying certified in both, you can choose to do abnormal vital signs and shock, and plus 3 of the MyToxCerts over the 5-year cycle, and that would be your 4 modules over 5 years. Now it gets tricky, and I don't want to overplay it. We're all smart enough to get it, but it's a little more nuanced. For folks that are expiring in 2024, so next year, or 2026. And again, we're all going to get an email from ABEM telling us what we need to do. But just to give you guys the broad overview. So one option is just to do 4 MyToxCert modules and 2 of these practice improvement activities. and then to get to research, right? Option 2 is to do 3 MyToxCert modules and your 2 PI. So everyone's going to do 2 PI activities, but for that 4th MyToxCert module, you can sub in either a MyMCert module, as I said before, those sub in for one of them, or 2 Tox LLSAs. So for this short transition period, we let you sub in 2 LLSAs for your 4th MyToxCert module. And then option 3 is similar concept. You do your 2 PI activities, 2 MyToxCert modules, 2 Tox LLSA. So again, it's at two for 1, and then 1 MyMCert module. So there's like kind of 3 ways to do it. And as we said before, there's just 2 MyMCert modules that count for both. So if you are staying boarded in EM and Tox, it is to your advantage to do either abnormal vital signs or social and behavioral health as one of your MyMCert modules over this certification cycle, so that you can count it for both. And the PI activities count for both. So you'll need one eventually need one every 5. But for the research, you'll need 2 to cover the 10 years. So physicians with primary certification from another board, so these are folks that were not EM, but are, we're all Tox. You can just do the OG 4 MyToxCert modules and the 2 PI activities. Or option 2, since you don't have the MyMCert option available, you can do 3 MyToxCerts and 2 Tox LLSAs. So again, that kind of 2 for 1 exchange, 2 Tox LLSAs to count and sub in for a MyToxCert, and then your 2 PI activities. So the most important folks, now you're all important, but some of you are the most important, are the people that are expiring in 24. We really want to help you help this go as smoothly as possible for you. Don't delay. So you can do, if you want to do the MedTox LLSAs, the 2 to substitute for a MyToxCert, you can do that now. You want to do your MyMCert module, if you're an EM boarded person and you want to do one of those 2 MyMCert modules, you can do that now. And if you do that, you'll have done 2 of your 4 essentially. Or you can just wait until February 24. When we have these 4 MyToxCert modules coming online, you can get started then. So those are coming online in February 24. Now, a little warning, we really want you to start early on the modules. If you fail a MyToxCert module, you'll need to wait up to 3 months to retake it. We're going to refresh them in April, July, and October. And this is different than people that have done MyMCert. My understanding is that if you don't pass the MyMCert module, you can take it like the next hour, the next day. It's not so with MyToxCert. They're just going to refresh in April, July, and October. If for some reason you're not able to pass it the first time, we'd rather that this happens early in the year so you have plenty of opportunities to retake it. Definitely, before October as a cushion in case you need to retake a module. So we really just don't want everybody waiting till the end of December to take all their modules and on the chance that you don't pass one of them. We'd really like to avoid that. So if people can get started on things in February, that'd be fantastic. So the annual fee. So when are you going to start paying your annual fee? Your annual fee starts after you next recertify. Okay. So the before that, until you recertify, there's going to be activity fee for everything you sign up for. So if you take an LLSA, yeah, so you'll pay an activity fee for that. But your annual fee will start after you recertify. Your fee will depend on the number of certifications. Your personal fee will depend on the number of certifications you have with ABEM. So your first ABEM certification is $300. Your second is 215, and your everyone after that is 0. So for example, I am ABEM in EM and MedTox. And so I'm going to be, once I recertify, I will be 300 plus 215. I'll be at 515 every year for my annual fee. And that'll cover any, LLSAs or MyToxCerts or whatever, if I took those in that time, right? And some people can also choose, I guess, to bundle and pay them at once. Or you can do it over 5 years. My understanding is there's not a discount for paying them all at once, but that's a choice. So there will be CME. But to get it, so for 5-year certification, we're hoping that it'll support continuing learning and certification. Remember, it's going to begin after you next recertify is when you get on that cycle. But your current expiration date doesn't change. I think that's really important too. So if you have a certificate that says you expire in 26, you expire in 26. You expire in 28, you expire in 28. What your certificate says holds. The 5-year certification cycle for you starts after you next recertify. Now, to get more information, we're going to have a chat Q&A right here after this. www.abem.org/MyToxCert has some information. You can contact ABEM. Stay certified at abem.org. The phone number is here. And then, make sure the email that you have with ABEM is working and up to date, because ABEM will send notifications on what you need to do based on your specific situation. So if you're, expiring in 24, it's going to tell you, ABEM will tell you what you have left to complete and what you need to do in order to recertify. Now, here's some QR codes for what we've talked about. So the MyToxCert webpage and MyToxCert FAQs, and I'll leave these up here. And I think Angie has gotten some questions.
Yeah, we do have a few questions, but just before we do, I wanted to go ahead and just offer a little clarification. The emails are scheduled to go out in December. So look for an email from ABEM in December that will help you define what your requirements are and what specifically you need to do to maintain your medical toxicology certificate.
Now, Angie, are people only getting them? Is every single ABEM MedTox person getting them, or is it only the people that are just expiring in 24?
Everybody's going to get an email. There'll be the ones for the 2024 and the 2026 cohort will be more detailed because they'll have individual things, but everybody will get it. That'll explain if they're in 28 or 30, what that means and what the requirements are. So everybody will get an email.
Great.
Okay, so we do have a few questions. Someone wants to know if your expiration date is more than 5 years in the future, do you have to take the usual recert exam before entering into MyToxCert?
No, you will start recerting on the MyToxCert pathway in order to recert. I believe we've given our last recert exam, right?
Yes, there is no more medical toxicology recert exam. Okay, and that kind of leads into another question that we have. When should I start taking MyToxCert modules? Yeah,
so we are putting them up in February of 24. If you are expiring in 24, I recommend you make an appointment with yourself to start taking them right after they come up. That way, if you don't pass, you can take it right away when it refreshes in April, July, October. But the first 4 are going to go up in February 24, and so after that they're going to be available.
Okay. What about how can I prepare to take a MyToxCert module?
So these are open book. We're gonna, I think we tell you, I forget the term that we use, but we kind of give you an idea of what the subtopics are in addition to the title. In case, I think it's like called study. Do you remember what those are called? Study something or other. But these are open book. So the study requirements are really minimal. You take the modules by yourself, and you can use any resources to look it up while you're completing it. So we're hoping that what you have to study going in is going to be pretty minimal.
Okay. Can you answer what is the passing score for the MyToxCert modules?
Yeah, so they're going to be slightly different for each, and we're still determining them. Generally, in the 70s-ish range, but they're all going to be slightly different. And when you start each module, the instructions will contain the passing score for the particular module.
Okay, we do have a question about the annual fees. When does someone need to start paying an annual fee for their medical toxicology certification?
After you recertify. So once you recertify, you're going to start paying it. So if you expire in 2026, you'll start paying your annual fee in 2027 with your next certification cycle.
Okay. Another question we have is, can I earn CME for completing MyToxCert modules?
Yes. CME will be available, and you will have the opportunity to register for optional CME when you register for the MyToxCert module.
Okay, I don't see any other open questions. I think we've answered them. If anybody else has anything they want to go ahead and put in the Q&A, we can make sure to address it here. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Thank you, Doctor, for sharing all the information with us today. And again, look for an email from ABEM in December. And if you have any questions specifically, just reach out to the ABEM team. We're here and happy to help. And then, Doctor, anything else that you want to add before we go?
No, thank you, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. But yeah, we can't do all this. I know a lot of our MedTox certificate folks have helped us develop the exam and test out the exam. And so I want to thank everyone for their help. And I want to thank the ABEM staff for all the tremendous amount of work that goes into transitioning. I really think this is going to be better for all of us. I think this annual exam that you can take at home, on your own computer is going to be a lot nicer than like a every 10-year high stakes exam in the testing center. I think we're all going to be a lot happier with the outcome of the new process. So thanks to everyone for putting the work into this.
Okay, and thank you, everybody. Have a great holiday.